be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, O Lord.
When Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of King Herod, behold, Magi from the east arrived in Jerusalem, saying, "Where is the newborn King of the Jews? We saw his star at its rising and have come to do him homage." When King Herod heard this, he was greatly troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. Assembling all the chief priests and the scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. They said to him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for thus it has been written through the prophet, and you, Bethlehem, land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, since from you shall come a ruler who is to shepherd my people Israel." Then Herod called the Magi secretly and ascertained from them the time of the star's appearance. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search diligently for the child. When you have found him, bring me word, that I too may go and do him homage." After their audience with the king, they set out. And behold, the star they had seen at its rising preceded them, until it came and stopped over the place where the child was. They were overjoyed at seeing the star. And on entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother. They prostrated themselves and did him homage. Then they opened their treasures and offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed for their country by another way. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Today I would like to invite any young children who would like to come on up for the homily today. Come on up and join me, please. Come on up, boys and girls. Very good. Sit over here. Very good. Thank you for coming up here today. I wanted to show you, I hope that Santa was as good to you this Christmas as he was to me. Was Santa good to you? Did you get lots of presents for Christmas? Excellent. I got a lot of good presents too. I got some very practical presents. I got a new sweater. I got some very thoughtful presents. People were praying for me and offering masses. But as I was opening up all my presents this year, I began to sense a theme. I want to show you. One thing I got was this emergency flashlight. You see that? And it doubles as an emergency lantern. It's very bright. And I thought that was a really neat gift, so I said, I'm going to put that in the trunk of my car. That way, if I get into an accident or break down, I'll have a light in the snowy nights. And then I opened up another gift, and I got another emergency flashlight. This one glows red, and this one doubles as an emergency whistle, which you can use to call someone if you need help. So that's pretty good too. I'll put this in the trunk of my car, I said. I think that story I told last year of doing a 360 on the black ice really got to people, and they're worried about me this year. So I'm going to be ready in all my adventures. Wherever I travel, I am going to be ready and safe wherever I go. Isn't that neat? Now today we remember some people that went to go travel to visit the baby Jesus in the manger. Do you know who they were? Hello. We visited the wise men. The wise men came to visit the baby Jesus. How many wise men were there? 3. Sometimes we call them kings. We 3 kings. And they went to go visit the baby Jesus, right? Now, do you think they were ready for their long journey? Do you think they had enough food for their journey? They had food? Do you think they had enough camels to ride on their journey? And they had camels. Do you think they had an emergency flashlight for their journey? I don't think so, because there wasn't any electricity way back then. Everything was very, very dark at night. But you know what they had to guide them? Did they have a light to guide them? They had a star, right? Star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to the perfect light. Look where the light led us. Over there to the stable where the baby Jesus is. There he is. I took a journey a couple months ago. I went out to Arizona to see my parents. And while I was out there, I visited a monastery, a place where nuns live. And I went to go visit them for a retreat for a few days. And everything was very, very dark out there. I wish I had my flashlight then. But you know what? It was so dark. You know what you could see really, really well in the night sky? All the stars. There were millions of stars up in the sky. It was beautiful to see. In fact, some of the world's best telescopes are there in Arizona because it's out in the desert and it's far away from the city lights. So all you see is the stars. And they're so, so beautiful out there. I wanted to know what every single one of those stars were up in the sky. And so I did what any wise man would do in this day and age. I went to the App Store and I found on my phone something called Sky Guide. And what you do is you look up at the sky with your phone and it tells you what all the different stars are. See that? It shows you what all the different stars are. And it tells you this is this constellation, this is the planet, this is a star. It tells you everything so you know what it is. Well, it just so happened that while I was out there, there was a man named Father Joseph who was also visiting the monastery. And Father Joseph was an expert in the stars, expert in astronomy. And I was out there one night looking at the stars with my phone, and he walked by and he said, "Let me tell you something about the stars." And so the next night we all went out, all the nuns went out too, and we had a tour of the stars. And I learned more from Father Joseph in half an hour of listening to him than I ever would have learned on my phone. Because he taught us everything. He showed us where something called the Southern Cross, where 4 of the brightest stars in the sky form a cross in the sky. And he showed us where all the different constellations were and what time of year they appeared in the sky and all their history. It was really, really neat what they showed us. Yeah. They showed us everything else, what they showed us. And I learned so much. He was a really wise man. Well, the wise men back in Jesus' time were like Father Joseph. They knew the stars really, really well. And so they noticed when a new star appeared in the sky. And what do you think that meant to them? They said, "Aha, a new star." And they knew what that meant. Do you know what that meant, the new star? It meant there was a new king born, right, in the manger? A new baby born? Who was the baby? Jesus, right. The new baby Jesus, the king was born. And so they were ready, and they said, "We're going to bring him gifts." What do you think they brought him? Do you think they brought him an emergency flashlight? No. Do you think they brought him a new sweater? Do you think they brought him, what did they bring him? Gifts. Gifts for a king. Let's see what they brought him, the baby Jesus. Let's see. Oh, they brought him gold. See that? Look at the gold. Pass it around. Show everybody. What do you think the gold meant? Who would you give gold to? Who likes to wear gold or live in golden palaces? You do. Me too. Who else likes to live in golden palaces? You. How about a king or a queen? Don't they live in golden palaces? A king? Very good. So by giving Jesus gold, pass it around. They were saying, Jesus is a king. Let's see what else they brought Jesus. They brought frankincense. You know what frankincense is? It's also called incense. This is frankincense. And what it is you can burn it on some hot coals and it makes smoke. Did you see the smoke at Mass today that was going up today? When you burn it, here, don't eat it, it's not food. It's just, pass it around, everyone take a little grain, just hold it in your hand. It's something you burn, and when the smoke goes up to the heaven, it's a sign of all our prayers going up to God. So who do you burn incense for? God. Yes. Take 1 or 2 each. And so when you burn incense, that's a sign of our prayers going up to God. So they were saying, by bringing incense to Jesus, frankincense, they were saying, Jesus, you are God. You're our God. We're going to worship and pray to you. Okay, the last gift they brought. Anyone else want to know what the last gift is? Gold, frankincense, and not holy water. You know what it was? What? Gold, frankincense, and myrrh. This is myrrh. This is myrrh essential oil that someone gave me. And you can smell it. We'll pass it around. Take a smell. And you see how it smells. Do you think it smells good? Yes. Okay, we'll get another. I don't think the myrrh smells all that good, to be honest. But that's okay, because you know what the myrrh was used for? When someone died, they would anoint the body with the oil of myrrh. You can get one too, yeah. And so the myrrh meant that Jesus was one day going to die. Where did Jesus die? Does anyone remember? How did he die? Yes. On the cross. Remember the stars that looked like a cross? Well, myrrh also meant that Jesus was one day going to die on the cross. Pass it around, yeah. And so all these gifts, they tell us something about Jesus, don't they? The gold tells us that Jesus is a king. The incense tells us that Jesus is God. The myrrh tells us that Jesus is going to die on the cross for us one day. Pretty neat, huh? So all these wise men brought gifts to the baby Jesus. Now, do you think we should bring some gifts to the baby Jesus today? I think we should. Those wise men were great people, weren't they? Sometimes we call them kings, and yet they were humble enough. They realized there was a greater king. The king was Jesus. And so they knelt before Jesus. And that's what we can do too. We can go to the manger scene now, and we can bring our gifts to the baby Jesus, and we can kneel there for a moment and ask Jesus to bless us and our families, okay? So did everyone get some incense? Did everyone have some incense? Okay? Well, make sure you have some in your hand. We'll get some. Who has the gold? Okay, who has the myrrh? Okay, we're going to go now to the baby Jesus. Make sure you get some frankincense in your hand. Take a few grains. Oh, wait. Okay. Here's our flashlight. Oh, lantern now? Okay. We'll follow the star, okay? Here we go. Follow me. Star of wonder, star of night, star with royal beauty bright, westward leading, still proceeding, guide us to thy perfect light. Wow. Here it led us. Let's kneel down and say a prayer here by the manger, boys and girls. Okay, who has the gold? Why don't you put the gold there by the baby Jesus, because he's our king. Who has the myrrh? Okay, why don't we put the myrrh by the baby Jesus, because remember, he's going to die for us on the cross one day. Good. Who has the frankincense? Everybody? What we can do is we can very carefully, it's hot, place the incense not there, put it right here on these hot coals, and you'll see the smoke go up. Very careful, don't touch it, it's hot. Just drop it in without touching. Good. Okay. And don't touch it. Good. Look at all that smoke coming up. Yep, don't touch it. Good. Anyone else? Let's go over here. I'm going to go over here. Okay, don't touch it. It's hot. Anyone else? That's... Here we go. Anyone else? Yes. Oh no, you have my hand too. One more. Look at all that smoke going up. You know what that smoke means? That's all our prayers going up to God. One more. Okay, there's all our prayers. Let's say a prayer now. Let's kneel there for Jesus. Don't touch. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord Jesus, we thank you for coming here to the manger to be born for us. We come here today knowing that you are our King. We are here kneeling before you because you are the Lord of our lives. pray for unity and peace in our homes. We pray for our parents, for our brothers and sisters. We pray for our grandparents. We pray for all those people that we love, all our friends, all those in our schools. Lord, we want today to be like you. We pray to you. We pray for peace in our world. We pray for all those who are hurting, all those who live in darkness, that you will shine the light on them. Lord Jesus, help us never to forget this Christmas time, this time of joy and peace, this time where we give gifts to each other, because all of that reminds us that you are the best gift of all, that you came to give us life. So we pray through the intercession of Mary, your mother, as we say, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Very good. All right, Merry Christmas, everybody. All right. We'll see you back in your homes. Take care.